Have you ever pondered the paradox of Aristotle, the great philosopher, advocating slavery and racial inferiority? Our journey begins with Aristotle, a titan of philosophy whose profound insights shaped much of Western thought. Yet, within this brilliant mind, lay views that in our modern age can only be described as controversial, or even morally abhorrent. Aristotle, born in the 4th century BC, lived in a world vastly different from ours. It was a time when the practice of slavery was widespread and racial hierarchies were deeply entrenched. It's within this context that Aristotle, like many of his contemporaries, developed his beliefs about slavery and racial inferiority. He boldly asserted that some individuals were naturally slaves, born to serve the needs of those who were naturally free. In his view, these natural slaves lacked the rational capacity to rule themselves and were better off under the guidance of a master. This wasn't a matter of cruelty or oppression to Aristotle, but a natural order of existence, akin to the way bees serve their queen. Additionally, Aristotle ventured into the thorny territory of racial superiority. He claimed certain races were naturally inferior, asserting that those from colder climates lacked courage, while people from warmer climates were intellectually deficient. Such views, while common in his era, are now widely regarded as deeply flawed. Yet, it's crucial to remember that Aristotle's controversial theories were born from the zeitgeist of his time, not out of malice or prejudice. His views on slavery and race were but reflections of the societal norms of ancient Greece, not the fruits of personal bias. It's a sobering reminder that even the greatest minds can be ensnared by the prejudices of their era, and that wisdom often comes with its own set of blind spots. So we see Aristotle, a man of wisdom, held views that today stir consternation and debate. The echo of Aristotle's views on slavery and racial inferiority has been met with severe criticism. As we delve into the labyrinth of philosophical discourse, it becomes apparent that Aristotle's theories, once revered, are now seen by many as morally abhorrent. Many modern philosophers argue that Aristotle's views on slavery and racial inferiority are not just flawed, but fundamentally outdated. They contend that his belief in natural-born slaves, that some people are inherently inferior and destined for servitude, is a dangerous and harmful ideology. This criticism extends to his views on race, where Aristotle suggested that certain races are naturally inferior. In the context of our modern understanding of human rights and equality, these views are anathema. Aristotle's critics see his notions as not just erroneous, but harmful. They argue that such theories, when propagated and accepted, can lead to systemic oppression and severe societal inequalities. The ripple effects of such beliefs can be seen throughout history and, some would argue, still persist today. These criticisms also challenge the very foundation of Aristotle's ethical theories. If his views on slavery and race are morally abhorrent, then how can his ethical theories, built on these flawed premises, be considered sound? This question is a thorny one, sparking heated debates among scholars and philosophers alike. Furthermore, critics argue that Aristotle's views on slavery and racial inferiority undermine his other philosophical contributions. They suggest that such views cast a shadow over his otherwise enlightened philosophy, tainting his legacy. But the debate doesn't end here. There are those who argue in defense of Aristotle, suggesting that his views were a product of his time and should be evaluated in that context. They contend that despite these controversial views, Aristotle's contributions to philosophy cannot be dismissed. The criticisms, harsh yet insightful, cast a shadow on Aristotle's otherwise enlightened philosophy. As we continue to unravel the complex tapestry of Aristotle's philosophy, it's crucial to remember that these debates are an integral part of the philosophical discourse, continually challenging us to question, reflect, and grow. Despite the criticisms, there are defenses for Aristotle's controversial views. Let's delve into the counter-arguments that support Aristotle's theories, showing a different side of the coin. Some ardent philosophers argue that Aristotle's views should be understood in their historical context. This is an important consideration, as it provides a lens through which we can understand why Aristotle may have held certain beliefs. The ancient world was a vastly different place from our modern society. Slavery was a common practice, and societal norms were not the same as they are today. Aristotle's views on natural slaves and racial inferiority were likely a reflection of the norms of his time, rather than his personal beliefs. Diving deeper, it's crucial to remember that Aristotle was a product of his age and culture. He was a man of his time, living in a society where slavery was a fact of life. His theories were a reflection of his observations and experiences within that society. To judge him by today's standards would be to commit the fallacy of presentism, viewing historical events or figures through a modern lens. Moreover, there's an argument to be made that Aristotle's views may have been misinterpreted or mistranslated over the centuries. Ancient Greek, the language in which Aristotle wrote, is a complex and nuanced language. The translation of his works into other languages may have led to distortions or misinterpretations of his original thoughts. Scholars argue that Aristotle's use of the term natural slaves might not convey the same connotations as we understand them today. Additionally, Aristotle's belief in the potential for all humans to achieve virtue suggests a more egalitarian outlook than his critics give him credit for. His views on education and personal development indicate that he saw potential in all individuals, regardless of their social status. These defenses, while contentious, offer a different perspective on Aristotle's controversial views. It's worth pondering on these arguments to widen our understanding of Aristotle, his views, and the context in which he lived. The debate on Aristotle's views on slavery and racial inferiority remains a hot topic in philosophical circles. In the swirling vortex of this discourse, we have traversed the rocky terrain of Aristotle's controversial theories and wrestled with the thorny criticisms they've provoked. We've also endeavoured to balance the scales by exploring the defences put forth in the name of this philosophical titan. Aristotle's theories, while dated, have left an indelible mark on philosophy, sparking discussions about the moral and intellectual validity of his propositions. They compel us to grapple with uncomfortable realities and challenge our own preconceived notions. As we stand on the precipice of this ongoing debate, it is crucial that we do not shy away from the complexities it presents. Instead, we must delve deeper, armed with a critical mindset and a thirst for understanding. As we continue to grapple with Aristotle's paradoxical legacy, we invite you to ponder, question, and engage in this ongoing philosophical debate. Aristotle, a philosopher of paradoxes, continues to provoke our thoughts and challenge our beliefs. As we conclude our exploration of his controversial views on slavery and racial inferiority, we are left with more questions than answers. The debate, like the philosopher himself, is far from simple. Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of Philosophical Flicks. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel, hit the like button and the notification bell so we can keep you in the loop of what's next on the menu. We bid you farewell and adieu. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.